What if I told you that the thing you work for, save for, argue about, and sometimes even lose sleep over, may not actually exist in the way you think it does? What if the money in your bank account is not sitting in a vault, not backed by anything tangible, and can be created or destroyed with a few keyboard strokes, leaving most of us chasing numbers that were never real to begin with? And here's the strangest part. This illusion was not a mistake. It was engineered. Today, we're going to unravel how the world's money supply, this invisible force that dictates the price of everything, went from a simple tool of trade to humanity's greatest shared hallucination. And the twist, the moment this solution became too convincing, it broke. That stay with me. For most of human history, money was something you could touch. It clinked, it weighed something. It shined in the sun. Gold, silver, copper metals that were scarce, difficult to counterfeit, and universally valued. But something happened. A small group of merchants, then rulers, then governments began to realize a clever trick. If people trust the symbol more than the substance, you can control the symbol. Enter banknotes, credit, and eventually central banks, who could create money without mining a single ounce of gold. At first, this seemed like progress. It made trade easier, economies faster, life more convenient. But it also created a system where the money supply, once limited by nature, was now limited only by human imagination. An imagination, as we'd soon learn, can run wild. Our story begins in the 1600s with goldsmiths in Europe. People trusted goldsmiths to store their gold safely. To make withdrawals easier, the goldsmiths issued paper receipts, the original banknotes. Soon, not everyone redeemed their notes at the same time. Goldsmiths noticed this and took the first step into illusion. They began issuing more receipts than gold they held. They created extra money, and as long as no one asked too many questions, it worked. More money meant more loans. More loans meant more trade. More trade meant more growth. Cause and effect. A loop. But every magic trick has a vulnerability. If too many people demanded the truth at once, the illusion collapsed. This was the seed of modern banking. Fractional reserve systems, where only a fraction of deposited money actually exists in physical form. It would take centuries before the illusion scaled globally. By the 20th century, nations had central banks, powerful institutions capable of issuing currency, setting interest rates, controlling national money supply. To reassure people, nations promised, "Don't worry, your money is still backed by gold." This was the gold standard, the final anchor, preventing money from becoming purely imaginary. But as economies grew, governments faced a problem. They wanted to spend more, fight wars, build infrastructure, stabilize markets. But they didn't have enough gold to print more money. The temptation was too great, so, slowly, one by one, countries loosened their gold ties, then broke them entirely. The final break came in 1971, when US President Richard Nixon ended convertibility between dollars and gold. This single moment, barely noticed by the average citizen, removed the last physical constraint on the world's money supply. From that moment on, money became trust. Trust became policy. Policy became power. And the supply, it could now grow infinitely. Once money was unincurred, governments and central banks discovered a seductive ability. They could stimulate the economy by creating more money. A recession? Print money. Lower rates. A banking crisis? Print money. Bail out banks. A pandemic? Print money. Send relief checks. Each solution worked. Temporarily. Because new money doesn't create new resources. It only redistributes purchasing power. And the more money created, the more the illusion strained. Effect 1. Prices rose. People blamed greedy corporations. But it wasn't greed, it was diluting. Effect 2. Assets inflated. Homes, stocks, crypto all rising. Not because they got better, but because money got weaker. Effect 3. Debt exploded. Governments realized they could borrow endlessly because central banks could simply create more currency to buy their debt. Debt became a phantom. Money became a shadow of a shadow. Then came the breaking point. For the first time in modern history, the money supply grew too fast for public trust to keep up. Inflation surged. Currencies wobbled. A silent realization crept in. If money can be printed without limit, does it mean anything at all? As the illusion weakened, the effects became unavoidable. Wages stagnated while prices soared. Retirement savings lost purchasing power. Millennials and Gen Z found homes increasingly unaffordable. The wealth gap widened at the fastest rate in modern history. Why? Because every time new money enters the system, it flows unevenly. It goes first to banks, corporations, the wealthy, and only then, if ever, to the average worker. This isn't conspiracy. It's math. When the supply of money expands faster than the supply of real goods, those closest to the money printer benefit first, and everyone else pays the price later. This phenomenon even has a name: the Cantillon Effect. And we're all living inside it. Over the decades, governments tried multiple fixes. 1. Raise interest rates, slow the economy, control inflation. But higher rates trigger recessions. 2. Lower interest rates stimulate growth, encourage borrowing. But cheap money fuels bubbles. 3. Increase spending fund programs, boost demand. But that requires more debt, which requires more money creation. 4. Austerity cut spending to rebalance the books. But that slows growth and angers voters. Every fix treated symptoms, not the cause. Because the cause was structural. Money no longer reflected value. It reflected policy. And policy is influenced by elections, crises, lobbyists, and human emotion, things far more volatile than gold or productivity. To understand how fragile the illusion has become, look at today's numbers. Some nations have increased their money supply by 30 to 40% in a single year. In major cities, home prices outpaced wages by 10 or more. The average dollar today buys less than 20% of what it did 50 years ago. Global debt has surpassed $300 trillion, more than the world's GDP. And yet, the world keeps running. People keep spending. Governments keep borrowing. Why? Because illusions, when shared collectively, become reality. But cracks are forming. Digital currencies, crypto, CBDC, stablecoins are modern attempts to rebuild trust. Some propose limiting money supply with algorithms. Others propose giving governments even more control with programmable money. History is repeating itself, only faster. Every generation seems to circle back to the same question. What is money? Really, and who gets to decide? Takeaway 1. Money is a story we agree to believe its value is not. Inherent, it's negotiated. The moment trust erodes, the story collapses. Takeaway 2. Expanding money supply creates winners and losers. Money doesn't lift everyone equally. It moves wealth upward before gravity drags the cost downward. Takeaway 3. Every monetary system breaks when it outgrows its constraints. Gold was too rigid. Fiat money became too flexible. The next system must balance both scarcity and stability. We may be on the verge of the next great shift in the nature of money. One where digital systems replace physical ones, where transparency battles secrecy, and where the illusion we depend on becomes harder to maintain. Or perhaps the illusion will simply evolve again into something even more abstract than before. The real question is not whether money will change, but whether we will recognize the moment it does, because every financial revolution looks obvious in hindsight, but invisible to the people living through it. If you want to follow this story to its next chapter, the rise of digital currencies, the new power struggle between governments and algorithms, and the fight to redefine trust, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with someone who still believes money is simple. Because the more we understand the illusion, the less power it has over us.